Hello, everybody. Have you been looking forward to this? That's the question. I have no idea what people are going to say about this series in this stream that we're about to conduct, including my guest tonight. I don't know what he's going to say about it. I'll explain that in a moment. But first of all, hello. Hope you're doing good. It's been a little while. We haven't done this since, I think, the Bad Batch, the Chat Batch finale. It's good to be back. I'm kind of caught up with the Acolyte. And the idea of this stream is to sort of just have a general chat about it rather than go through episode by episode, give ratings, just more of a general chat. Apologies that there's not been much coverage on it. Most of you know I haven't been around. I've been away a lot and I didn't see, I think the first 3 episodes for quite a while. Then, or maybe it was the first 4. I feel like episode 5. And I was watching those on the move. So they're ones I need to go back to and watch again. And that's probably something I'm going to do when all is said and done with this series, go back and do a proper sit down viewing. And that might be the best experience I can possibly have with it. But yeah, episode 5 was the first time I got to actually sit down and concentrate and watch an episode. And the same for episode 6. So I'm a little bit blurry with it. So do plan on doing something when the series finished to talk more in depth. But the idea today is there will be spoilers if you haven't seen any of the first 6 episodes. But the idea is really to talk generally, to get your thoughts, to give my thoughts and the thoughts of Chad America Campbell. I should say happy Independence Day. You can have it. It's yours, that country
Thanks,
of America.
thank you.
How's it going, Chad?
Good, man. It's been a minute. How's everything on your end?
It's good, man. You know, like obviously this is a touchy day for us on this side of the pond. You know, you turned your backs on us. We feel a little bit sore, burnt emotionally and physically still by it, but it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, no, that's all right.
We
Yeah,
forgive you.
we go all out with this day. In fact, I've got some Mountain Dew Freedom Fusion that they released just for today. So, I'm gonna crack that open and have a drink of that while we're going here.
Well, happy 4th of July to you, Chad, and to anybody else who's celebrating. So let's do a few hellos to people in the chat. But first of all, before I need to check with you, Chad. 2 things. One, normally I would listen to your podcast, Star Wars Lunch Special, which I have linked to in the video description. Normally I would listen to that each week as your most devoted fan. I haven't been because it's been a bit of a mess keeping up with the Acolyte and trying to avoid spoilers and stuff. So I haven't been listening. So I actually don't know your views on this. So I'm going to learn along with everybody else, unless they've listened to your podcast. That is, of course, and they can by heading to the link in the video description. Secondly, I know you haven't seen episode 6 yet. So how are you feeling about people potentially commenting on episode 6 during this stream?
I feel like it'd be hard to do a lot of spoilers, just with the way the show's going. Like, I think there's not much. The biggest spoil thing just happened, I think, in season 5 that we're going to get all season. So, like, I'm okay with people talking about it. I don't think there's much that probably really happened to change anything. That'll be really the last 2 episodes. If we know how Star Wars works, the last 2 are the ones that are connected and back to back and answer a lot.
Well, I actually quite enjoyed episode 6, but in my opinion, there is not much to spoil in it. Some would call it a filler episode. I don't agree with that, but it certainly left a lot to be said and done in the final 2 episodes. You know, a lot to be tied up. So, okay, if you're happy, then speak freely, people, about episode 6. But again, this is more of just a general, quickish chat about what we've seen overall and how we're feeling overall so far. Hello to Chris Explaining Computers, who cannot make it tonight. He's traveling. So we'll be time traveling to watch it in the future. The Acolyte is my least favorite Star Wars show, but I am still enjoying it. Glenn, the geeky hippie, is here. Hope you're doing good, my friend. And he's telling you to do the right thing. And the right thing is to hit that like button. No matter what you think about the Acolyte, don't take it out on me, all right? Hit that like button. Thank you. Peter's here. Hope you're doing good. The old team, Peter and Glenn, who joined us for the Bad Batch finale. We had a good time, didn't we, Chad?
We did. That was fun.
Okay, good. Ross is here as well. Hope you're doing good, Ross. The Chatterlight. Yeah. We could have gone with the Chatterlight. We can still go with the Chatterlight. Why?
Acolyte. Wow.
Why not, Glenn? Why not? I can see Ross has made a comment about that name and a potential letter switch as well. Gaz Nottingham's here. Hope you're doing good. Gaz, we've got an early thought from Ross. Highly disappointed in Glenn, but also I think he means the Acolyte. I think, or maybe it is just purely disappointment in Glenn. Who else? That's it. I hope everybody who's here and who's not made themselves known in the chat is doing good. All right, Chad. Hey, so I mean, like I said, we're talking overall, but of course, pick out moments, episodes that stand out for the right, for the wrong. This is kind of, I've got no notes, I've got no script, so this is easy breeze. I guess my man from Costa Rica, hope you are doing good, TC. Yeah, I think my overall kind of one line response to this is I don't love the show, but equally I don't get the hate for the show aside from monetization,
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think I'm trying to like it more because of all the hate, because it has had so much like racist and sexist stuff thrown at it. I tend to want to counter that and like it even more than I need to, or I feel like I need to make up for those people. Um, but in this case, I think so far it's fine. It had a great twist. I thought that episode 5 was fantastic, and that's probably the
as in
only
the
time I
reveal
thought
of
that.
the villain, or the stranger.
Yeah,
That
yes.
was. You think that was I mean, it was kind of obvious, right?
Yo, for sure. Like, yeah, it made sense, but I enjoyed it because you don't get an actor he's big-ish. He's big enough that he can't just be uh like just that side comedy character. He had to be something else. So that was obvious. But I still enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool. I loved that they actually killed people. That's what I loved. John, I love him, but Filoni will never kill anyone ever. He is the most anti-death person I've met because we spent all last season of the Bad Batch waiting for a character to come back because everyone that Filoni creates cannot die, and they all somehow made it through episode 9, which is just stupid. But this show is like, nope, they're dead, and I liked that. That takes some guts and some courage. Um, but I think overall the show has been
Because only
fine. I
Rogue
think if I
One's
were
ever done that, really, in Star Wars to this level.
yes, that's true. I think I would like it if the show had been brought as a binge because when I had to sit back and watch the first 5 episodes in a row, it worked a lot better for me than having to wait like one a week because not enough happens in these episodes and like a couple of them were 24 minutes long total. If you take out the credits, they're shorter than Bad Batch episodes. And like
4 and 5
that's
was one episode split.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that's where I'm like, I'm okay with the one a week thing, but in this show, I think a binge might have worked a lot better. It also gives you less time to tune out and to dislike it. Because if one week doesn't catch you, there's no reason to keep going. But I thought by the time we got to episode 5, I finally felt really into it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really the only time. I feel like it's setting up a lot of questions that may never get answers. I'm not against it. It's something that people will cosplay as a lot at conventions, and it will find its audience. It's very diverse. So in that sense, that's good for it in the future because the future is more diverse. Um, but overall, as a show, I like it more than Book of Boba Fett so far, and that's it.
Okay, well, Chris, explaining computers, said it is his least favorite Star Wars show. So you would at least so far. So you would at least put it above the Book of Boba Fett. I agree with
Book
the
of Boba Fett
binge.
and Kenobi, both. Those were my least. Kenobi's my least favorite show they've done.
I don't think I knew
Um,
that. I didn't know that.
yeah,
Okay.
Kenobi's my least favorite show, and then Book of Boba Fett would technically be my least favorite show if it was just Boba Fett episodes.
Are you like looking at this kind of like clean and open-minded? Are you also, or are you also including the level of expectation that you had, which I mean, for everybody was higher with Kenobi? Like,
I think definitely including a level of expectation with Kenobi. I think Kenobi was on par with the prequels, but for me, that doesn't make it good. So that's where I'm at. Like, it had redeeming qualities. They're both at a 7 for me. Book of Boba Fett and Kenobi overall are 7. This show is sitting at a 7.5 right now because I
okay.
have liked 2 episodes a lot. But I
And that's
haven't
2 out
I
of
haven't
5.
hated.
For anybody joining us, that's 2 out of 5 because Chad has not seen episode 6 yet.
Yes. I haven't hated anything yet, but I've only loved like the villain. The costume is really cool. Him killing people is really cool. He's the coolest villain we've gotten in a long time. But, does that make the whole show good? I don't know.
I agree with the binge, and that's why I said at the beginning, for sure. I mean, again, just because of logistics of lifestyle at the moment, covering this hasn't been possible for me. But I do think it will be interesting to watch it all through properly for the first time when all is said and done, and then react. And I think there is a heavy elements of mystery with this series that's clear. That's they want to keep you guessing and to provoke questions that may or may not get answered. So I think the nature of that again leans to watching it in its entirety and then judging. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I heard someone said that Leslie Headland said that in terms of the ending, she didn't want to assume there would be a season 2. So that suggested that we are going to have closure, a clean ending, but we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah.
I thought the first 2 episodes were solid. I thought it was a decent start. It didn't blow me away. And again, these were 2 of the episodes that I couldn't fully focus on because I was watching them on the move while traveling on a little screen and stuff, and not very good sound. So I want to give them another chance before I go in deep. But I thought they were okay. I thought it was a decent start, an intriguing start. I was and am still disappointed by the look of the show, especially with that budget. But I think I don't know what the budget of Andor was, but
Andor has been the most expensive show so far.
Because this was $180 million, I think.
Yes, I know Andor was the most expensive, but also had the most episodes. Per episode, this had the same budget as Kenobi, if I'm remembering correctly. That Kenobi was only 6 episodes, so if you take out the whatever that is, I'm pretty sure that's right. But yes, Star Wars is obsessed with sticking to in-house production, and I think Andor did barely any in-house. They actually went out on location to places, which made it look really good.
Yeah, Andor did a lot of, like you said, they were all around the UK, and Leona Power Droid Girl proudly always brings up, I can't remember where it is now, but one of the locations close to her heart anyway in the UK. And I believe they used, for the stages, I believe they used Pinewood, which is movie studio. I thought the Acolyte was also doing the same thing, but for me, it doesn't quite have that look of Andor. It actually has more of a prequel look, which I suppose in a way is kind of fitting. Episode 3, I didn't hate. I mean, I thought there was some interesting directions and themes. The chanting, sure, was pretty cringy, but I didn't hate it at the same time. I can't believe the reaction. I don't love this show so far. I really don't. I don't.
Yep.
by borderline. I think if I wasn't a Star Wars fan, I would have checked out by now.
Okay.
But I don't.
That's fair.
I don't hate it, and I'm willing to sort of go all the way with it, and then judge. Ultimately at the end, and probably after a second viewing, like I said, a binge.
Right.
But I just do not get the hate, and episode 3 seemed to be the one. I mean, people were waiting because I think it was leaked by people who saw a first bunch of episodes. I think some people have said it's gonna be controversial, so people were waiting for this episode. The people that want to hate the show were waiting for it.
Yeah, my best friend is a guy who he leans towards the hate, or he at least tends to get his news from them more. He never agrees with them ultimately. He thinks they overreacted a lot, but he'll tell me this is how I hear that stuff. And so episode 3 and 4 are the ones that they said are going to ruin Star Wars. And it was originally episodes 1 and 2, and then they changed it to 3 and 4. And then when episodes 3 and 4 came out, no one had anything else to say. I liked episode 3 a lot, actually. I liked it a lot more than 1 and 2. 1 and 2 was fine if you like predictability. If you like your Star Wars to taste and smell kind of the same. And I thought episode 3 actually moved the needle a bit. We're at least having a backstory, and I liked that we see everything from this child's perspective. We know we're going to go back in time because what happened is not what we saw, right? We're only seeing it from her perspective, that her sister destroyed everything. Mm-hmm. Her sister did not destroy everything. We know that. So for me, I really liked that. And the witches stuff, that's all Clone Wars stuff. So I really dug that episode because at least I'm seeing something new. And I thought 1 and 2 were fairly fine, but formulaic.
That's fair. Yeah.
And so I thought 3 was actually offering me something that I hadn't necessarily seen before in a flashback episode. I did dig that a lot. I think the hate for that one comes from people who were waiting for something to hate.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the most different. I think if before people were wait for episode 3, it's going to blow your mind, then we'd all think episode 3 was really cool. That's my thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, Glenn, episode 3 was it was an entire flashback episode, I think, if my flashback serves.
Completely.
Yeah. Episode 5, the one little nugget I got of your feelings towards this series before we started this stream was that episode 5 was your favorite, which I think is the case kind of universally. Very action heavy and very aggressive action as well.
I loved that.
Choreography was good.
I think it's the best choreography we've had in a long time in Star Wars, for a lightsaber battle and everything. I mean, that made the one in Kenobi look even worse. This big Kenobi Darth Vader lightsaber battle was nothing. And I thought the battles here were great. People actually died. As I've said 100 times, Filoni will never kill anyone off. Everyone he created has to live forever because he just won't do it. They'll fall off a cliff 200,000 feet and somehow they miraculously survive. It's ludicrous. And at least in this show, they're killing people right in front of us, people that we've seen in this whole show. And I was like, wow, that's really bold. So I enjoy that. That risks like that and storytelling like that, where you're willing to do those things, automatically elevates your show for me because it makes you different from every other show. I'm ranting, guys. Sorry. I loved the show 24 with Kiefer Sutherland. That was this big thing where he's in CTU and you never really knew. You knew the main character was going to live, but everyone else in a season could just die. And that's how it was. So for me, it's I love that in shows now. Game of Thrones, same thing. You know, certain characters are going to live, but most everyone else could die.
Yeah. And the thing with this episode, well, this scene, which kind of was the episode, you absolutely expected the Z-list Jedis. Oh, it's July 4th, the Z-list Jedis I'll give you it. It's July 4th. You absolutely expected the Z-list Jedis, no names, dispatched as part of the unit to the planet. I can't remember its name now. To all die. Absolutely expected that. At a push, I might have put some money on one of the main characters to go, but for what, two? Yord and is it Yeki?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was big. It was big. I do have. I really enjoyed. I did enjoy that episode, and technically as well, it was really well crafted. I thought fight scene, which to a level we have not had for a long time, especially on the small screen. I don't, and this is something that's bugging me. And might get better, when the season's finished, or when I go back and watch it again, with a clearer, more dedicated kind of mindset. I just can't really get on board with May's motives. It's just flip flopping, like
I hate that.
I can't get my head around it. I can't get on board with it. Her intentions.
They need to explain a lot more with May, or else I'm gonna wonder what the point of her entire character was. Because you could just have it be. Does it have to be a twin sister? It could have just been a childhood friend or anything. Like, I don't. Does she even need to be in it? I don't.
Well,
I don't
one
know.
minute she hates the Jedi, the next
Yep.
minute she wants to turn herself into the Jedi, then she's back to hating the Jedi, and I just don't really get it. But I'm gonna give it space, and see what happens. But that kind of took me out of what was a good episode 5.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, should we jump over to the chat, see what people are
Yes. Let's see some
saying?
comments.
I can see Glenn is commenting on my hair. It is getting long, but unfortunately for you, Glenn, it won't get too much longer. I've got to book in for a chop. If the show is about Chad, this would be the Chad Chat. Yes, it would. Yeah. All right. I think where are we? All right. I think everybody here is on board with the fact that the hate is ridiculous. Peter says so, and I can see Peter's not the biggest fan of the show. And it's fine to dislike a show if you genuinely dislike it, and you are not obliged to keep watching it. But the hate and it's pretty extreme. I've heard a lot of criticism about the performances, especially the performance of the actress who plays the twins, Amandla Stenberg. What do you think? Are the criticisms justified? I think Master Soul, I can't remember the actor's name, but it's his first English-speaking role. I think he's fantastic and also the most interesting character. There's some Qui-Gon vibes about him. And Chad, you haven't seen episode 6, but we keep getting teased that he's going to, come clean about his past. And that continues in episode 6. He doesn't come clean.
Good. Okay, good. I like that.
But he has to in episode 7, it seems. But yeah, very intriguing character, and I think a great performance. I think I'm not entirely sold yet on Stenberg playing the twins, but that might partly be down to the writing in terms of me not really understanding particularly May at the moment. And even Osha. I'm just going to say a little bit of something about episode 6, Chad. Feel free to cover your ears.
Okay.
Giving you no. Like, she obviously is interacting with the stranger because he's, taking her away. And she seems to quite quickly be, warming to him, which again seems a bit sudden, but then this is a TV show. It's got to move quickly, and of course it can't be longer than 28 minutes. So yeah, like, I don't know if that's down to the writing or maybe things we haven't yet discovered, but the moment that, for me, the jury's out on that. What about you, Chad?
I think the actress is doing fine with what she's given. I think her acting style is much more young person Disney Channel era than some of the others. so she's acting a little more broad. She's acting a little more stage acting than some of the others are. Um, and that doesn't necessarily ruin anything. If the writing, I think, for their characters was really defined and really good, then it would be easier. But I don't know if the writing is there. Like you said, I don't know the character's motivation. Like I still don't know why she left the Jedi training to do the other stuff. I don't. I hope they explain that, but 7 and 8's going to have to be like 2 hours long combined for this to really add up and make sense here.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think she's doing as good as she can, but I blame that more on the writing and lack of character development. If you have
Mhm.
to play one in one episode, you're pure evil, and then in the next episode, you're becoming good, and then you're pure evil again. Like something went wrong somewhere in the screenwriting room, or like you thought this was a great idea and it made sense in your head, but when you wrote it out, it just didn't translate. Whatever it is, that's not the actor's fault when the writing's bad. But yeah, she's more of a broad actor anyway. But we've seen that work in Star Wars multiple times, just not as much as it could here.
Mhm. Um, yeah, but we'll see. There's still time and questions to be answered, and I think I'm not good with names at the best of times, but particularly not this time. The guy playing the big bad, or is he the big bad? I think he's doing a good job as well. Okay,
Oh yeah, but he's been
Glenn.
in a lot of stuff. He was in The Good Place, and he was fantastic in that show.
Yeah. Glenn says there was some predictable stuff on this show, but not anywhere as bad as the predictability of Fallout, which I just finished last night. Clays is here. Hope you're doing well, Clays.
Hey, Clays.
Glenn says the show should have been 5 1-hour episodes instead of 8 or whatever it is going to be. It is going to be 8. We got 2 left to go. Glenn also says he really needs to sit down and re-rank all of the Star Wars projects. Well, let this one finish first. The Acolyte, Tigrillo in Costa Rica, I can never say it. Customs, the Acolyte, I really liked it because it is showing me many new things. We talked about that, Chad did with episode 3, and I'm a little tired of the same themes in Star Wars. Yeah, and I've said this before as well. With particularly with Disney Plus, there should be kind of Star Wars for everybody, for different demographics. But if you like it all, great. But it can't all be Andor, and it can't all be Bad Batch. And definitely there's some new interesting directions that the Acolyte is taking us in. And if you're readers of the High Republic as well, I'm assuming it must be great to see a lot of that be brought to life in live action. Glenn says, love how this particular group of Star Wars fans is so not like the rest of the fandom. Our particular group. We can all disagree, but still keep it friendly. Jamie has built a great community with these hands. No, you guys, I think I didn't build it. We just all naturally somehow ended up here organically. And Peter is a great example of what Glenn just said. I think The Acolyte is a series of missed possibilities, so much new stuff, new characters and setups, and not taken. He says so far, and that's crucial. So far, there's still 2 episodes, and they've left a lot potentially to happen in those 2 episodes. So let's see.
Yeah, they're gonna have to be
also,
so good for it to work.
Yeah. I
Feel
feel
bad for
like
them.
the finale has to be. I'm expecting a standard by Disney Plus standards, episode 7 in terms of runtime, but the finale has to be long.
At least an hour, like at minimum.
I can't see it being more than an hour, but hey, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Episode 3 and 6 are the weakest episodes for Peter, but the hate for 3 was nuts.
Oh, he switched that and he meant 4 and 6.
4 and 6, okay.
He corrects that later. Sorry, I just want to make sure we.
Anders is here. Hope you're doing well. Anders, Yicky, yeah. It's pretty brutal with the was it the 3 stabs in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, man, that was ballsy. That's what I love. Is like a Star Wars show that has some guts with that stuff. Good.
Yeah, Gaz Nottingham says, so far I've enjoyed the show. The mysterious nature of it has me intrigued with wildly incorrect speculation after each episode. Episode 5 blew me away. I've rewatched 126 and I picked up on more second viewing. Yeah, absolutely is something I need to do and will do.
Yeah,
And like
it worked way better as a binge. It really did for me. Like watching those 5 episodes in a row worked. It's written a lot more like a movie than a TV show. And that's like even the ends of episodes have been really weird. Like there was one where we show the Wookiee creature. And that's it. There's like 5 seconds of him, and that's like that didn't intrigue me to watch the next episode. It just, but it would make sense if I'm watching it all in a row. It flows fine.
Yeah, well, I mean, at this point now, I'm going to wait until all eight are out to do my binge. And if you have just joined us, this is just a little general chat about our thoughts and feelings so far. We'll do something more in depth when all is said and done. Not Pitboy Gamer says Filoni killed off Kanan and Maul.
Yeah, but hold up. No, I'm going to challenge that because Filoni also is the one that brought Maul back from the dead. So, yeah, he killed off a dead character. Congratulations, Filoni. But he already was dead. So that definitely doesn't count. He's killed off three or four characters out of the 30 or 40 that he has created. That's what I'll say.
I will put out there, and this is based on what you said earlier. I will where not Pitboy Gamers what he's talking about here, what you said earlier, Chad. I would say there are still two episodes left. There is still a chance that Yeki and Yord could still come back, because we've seen before that lightsaber stabs are not necessarily fatal these days. Peter says the death of Yeki and Yord was not so impactful because those characters were barely developed. I liked Yeki. I liked Yeki. Yord was all right. I would agree that they could have. I would have liked more time with them to get more interested and attached to them. But Yord, by the way, I don't know the actor's name, but at Star Wars Celebration backstage, he complimented my outfit. He said, "Cool outfit, man." There we go. That's it. Anyway, I thought the storyline is erotic. I thought I read at first there, and I think after episode 6, some might agree. I won't say any more, Chad. Erratic is what Peter actually said. Gaz says, I'm iffy on the acting for May and Osha. Doesn't seem to gel with rest of the cast, and some of the deliveries are sus. Yeah, I think we're in agreement there. But again, we'll see with these next two episodes. This was episode 5, wasn't it? So Chad will know. Dale, hope you're doing good, by the way. Would a lightsaber make a good hair cutting tool like she did in the show? I would like to know, because I need a haircut at the moment. But yeah.
I thought that was really dumb. That was really dumb. It was so you use the lightsaber to cut your hair, and then nobody thinks twice. They're like, "Oh yeah, that's you. That's you." Whereas just a few episodes earlier, the villain here knew that it wasn't her within a matter of like a few sentence conversation, right? Like they knew that Osha was pretending to be May, so he didn't reveal anything.
And couldn't Soul sense his old Padawan Osha earlier on, or not? But he couldn't when they at the end of episode 5 post lightsaber cut,
post haircut, they were fine. They couldn't tell them apart. It just didn't make it was dumb. That was really convenient. Which again, Star Wars is filled with conveniences, but that was dumb.
Peter says Soul is the best character of the show so far. I'd agree with that. And he continues to be intriguing, although I think it's borderline irritating people now. But I think we are going to get some answers to that in episode 7, some clarity on that, his past. I'm just going to skip down a little bit because we're 35 minutes in, and this is Chad's holiday. It's Freedom Independence Day for Chad, and yet here he is, imprisoned by me, a Brit, on a live stream. I will release you. I will give you your freedom very soon, Chad. Let's just get through these comments. Liam, hope you're doing good. Haven't seen for a while. Liam says, I keep watching this, waiting for it to get good, and it is just kind of boring and slow to me, to be honest. It keeps hinting at something interesting happening, but it's taking so long to get there, which, again, the binge nature of this series, perhaps, I think is definitely going to be a player when it's done. As Chad said, this will likely be much more enjoyable if you can binge it. Andrew says it's not a good show. We don't have to pretend. I pretty much said that. I'm being honest. I don't hate it. I'm going to give it time. I'm going to give it a second viewing. I'm going to give it a binge. I do not love it. And if I was not a Star Wars fan, I absolutely would have checked out by now. But again, wait until the next 2 episodes are out, and then I will give my final verdict. Gaz says, I liked episode 4, a little too short, though. Fed Animal, this show is a travesty for Star Wars. I unsubscribed from Disney Plus after episode 3. This was the last chance, the final straw for Fed Animal.
Boy, that must be such a pain to still want to come onto a Star Wars chat and hate it so much. I'm just going to be that dude. Sorry, Jamie. I just like... I see these fans. What is a travesty about this? That's what I really want to know is what is the travesty here? Because that's the word you used, which is like an end all. Obviously, it's one of the worst things ever. And it can't just be, I don't like it. That doesn't make something a travesty. A travesty means it's truly ruined Star Wars for you. And I'm genuinely curious to know. This is why I sound so cynical about it, because everyone online, it sounds like you're quoting what everyone else online has said already, but maybe your view is unique, in which case, tell me how this show ruined Star Wars for you, because Star Wars has a lot of really awful stuff out there already. And that's where I'm like, maybe it did ruin it. Maybe it's just the worst to you. But I want to know specifically what made it worse than something like Star Wars Resistance, that cartoon show. That would have made me check out. What makes it worse than Book of Boba Fett, which was just than the biker gang in that. That was terrible. I hated those teen biker rebel things. What makes it worse than Kenobi? That was not great. I don't know. What makes it worse than episode 9? That's also pretty bad. What makes it worse than episode 2? Attack of the Clones is pretty awful. What makes it worse than half of Clone Wars, which is a just very mixed bag of a show? That's why people say, here's the essential episodes. I don't know. It's just people are giving up on something so fast. I understand the cynicism towards it and towards what Disney does with a lot of it. But for me, my cynicism is more like that they introduce all these new characters that were alive and they're trying to explain everything and make it work. But I feel like the hate is just getting really fickle. And maybe you're completely valid, but I just didn't see anything in episode 3 that made it awful, like ruined Star Wars for me.
Well, I mean, maybe the Star Wars that you said is terrible might be the Star Wars Fed Animal loves. But Fed Animal, you've got a few minutes if you want to come back to Chad. We'll be wrapping up very, very soon. But again, from my point of view, I'm pretty much at peace with that. Not all Star Wars that's released will be Star Wars I love, and that's absolutely okay. It's an audience that transcends generations now and demographics, and there should be something for everyone. And if you do love it all, that's also great. But yeah, I think I personally, because I am a Star Wars fan, that's why I'm sticking with it. I don't feel passionate enough to stop. So I'm interested, as a Star Wars fan, which Fed Animal must be, why you wouldn't sort of stick it out, at least. But anyway, each to their own. Right, I'm going to get through these final comments. Liam says, really not a fan of how each episode ends very unceremoniously. For some reason, yeah, and episode 4 was, we talked about earlier, it was episode 4 and 5 was one episode, split in 2. Oh, Chad, Gaz Nottingham says George
He did.
Lucas brought back Maul. Sorry, Chad.
That's true.
Filoni killed him in Rebels.
That's true, but that's another character. That's not a Filoni character that he brought on and kept alive. He kept him alive because George told him to, but then I mean he had to die at some point. That was a one that was going to die anyway. It's more when Filoni creates a character, he falls in love with the character that he created and then makes that character live forever. I don't know of really any or many original Filoni characters that have been killed. That's that.
Gaz, I did just send a message in the chat. I don't remember this. Can you? I know how he figured it out. I remember that, but I don't remember how that was addressed as. If you have the time to let me know in the chat, I will address it. Glenn says Sol was too distracted to notice that May and Osha had been switched. Guess that's possible. A lot had just happened, including you're going out like a chump. Glenn said it. Dale says, when the Jedi came for the Wookiee kids to turn them into Jedi, wouldn't the Wookiees rip off the Jedi's arms? Gaz says, happy Independence Day to our American cousins. Happy potentially independence from corrupt political parties in the UK Day. Yeah, I hope you voted, everybody in the UK. Does look like Rishi and the Tories we will be saying goodbye to, and they'll be gone at midnight, it does look like. And yeah, we're turning a corner in the right direction, I think. That's my opinion. Anyway, that's a theory I've seen out there. Yeah. And I think Finestra definitely is going to have more of a part to play in these final 2 episodes. I don't think that theory is too crazy, actually. So let's see what happens in these next 2 episodes. And I saw people recognizing the scars on his back, and you know she's got that whip saber thing. Clay says yes, the hate is just getting silly. Glenn says this is why I love Chad Campbell. I don't know why, but there is a reason why. Glenn,
No, it was during my rant. It was during my rant there. Sorry, guys, I went a little off the rails.
I like it as well.
I'm just genuinely curious as to what about this show is so much worse. I think sometimes it's like, I think underlying for some people online, I think there is a thing of racism and sexism underlying, that they get tired of, or they're tired of, you know, the woman character always has to live and the white male character can die. And to a point, like, I mean, if every show starts doing that, I understand being slightly offended by it, but we've also lived where that was the opposite for a long time. So, you know, eventually that stuff just happens. So I don't know. I see all that hate online for this, and I just don't think, if it's not great, just don't watch it. There's a lot of Star Wars that's fine to not watch.
Smilo Ren for Prime Minister. And that is, I've seen that, a reference to the Stranger's little helmet smile thing.
That's good.
And the Knights of Ren theme plays a little bit, doesn't it, in episode 5, which Leslie Headland confirmed was for a reason. So we'll see what happens there. Okay, final comments, because it's Chad's. Chad should be free, and currently he's not free. We need to give Chad his freedom. It's Independence Day. You know, like, shouldn't be this way. What am I doing? Yeah, this one. My interpretation was that Sol always knew they'd been switched and was just playing with her. That's from Liam. Meanwhile, Gaz has come back on this as well. Potential spoiler for Chad here. Sol talking to May, thinks it's Osha, says how he should have sensed Chimera. How do you say it? Chimera. As he is working out and using his senses to recognize May. Final one from Dale, the Space Wizard. Bets on if they will have a younger Yoda in the final episode. I don't think they will. Chad?
Wait, I thought they would have it already, and they haven't yet. So I'm kind of like, maybe, but I think in the final episode it would almost be weird at this point to have him. I think if it's not in episode 7, then younger Yoda won't be in it at all. Um, which I was honestly fine with that. I thought that would have been cool to see a younger Yoda and see what he was like. But I'm okay with the show not doing that too, because I'm inconsistent and I call that out sometimes and hate it, and then other times I love it. So this
Yeah,
show could have done it.
I think it's too small. You know, I think this is really focusing on this group, this dwindling group now of Jedi,
Right.
and May and Osha, and how Glenn says it, Kimir. I mean, and you know, like people are wondering how this didn't get back to, you know, the High Council, the Jedi Council, you know, and obviously we know the Mundi controversy and what he says in the Phantom Menace. So yeah, I got a feeling now this will just be centered on this small group, and yeah, I mean the likelihood is none of them will make it out alive of this series, or maybe just one. I don't know, but we'll see. Glenn says I'm good with no Yoda. That would be milking the green one for sure. Just for you, Peter. If you know, you know. All right, everybody. Chad, thank you so much for taking time out on your public holiday. Happy July 4th, Independence Day to you, Chad, and to anybody else here celebrating. Might check in after episode 7 for a little stream and talk specifically about that episode, but I'm not going to put a day on it. There might be an England game next week on the day of the episode coming out, but we'll see how the England game on Saturday goes first. Oh, it's going to be painful. So yeah, that might dictate my availability for streaming next week, because I'm of an age where I get hangovers. And you can't watch a game in this country when we're playing this bad at the moment without alcohol to help you through. So, yes, priorities. But yeah, absolutely after the finale, we'll come on and do an in-depth episode by episode. We'll do our ratings and all that kind of stuff as well. So yeah, thank you everybody. And if you haven't already, yeah, in the UK, don't forget to vote. If you're registered, I think there's still time to do it. So yeah, all right. Thank you everybody. Hope you have a great rest of the week and weekend, and we may well chat next week. Chad, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks everyone. Bye,
Goodbye.
guys.
I'm clicking end stream so you know what you gotta do. Start waving, everybody.